Roland Willits, Omen Stories, visiting Darren's Money Pit. Roland Willits, Omen Stories.
Hello. Hello.
We're here at my nephew's house, Darren Schuster. And, come on. Come out there, Sarah Schuster.
You gonna say hi?
Come over this way and say hi. Okay, and this is their new house they're repairing. And today's this week's Omen Story is about repairing houses. No, actually about repairing. It's not about repairing houses. And Darren's going to talk about his problem, and you'll hear them splashing at the new pool they got done repairing a few minutes ago. So that's the background sound. Okay, Darren, tell me about the problems you've had. You'll hear background music from everyone here.
Oh, I love those.
I guess probably the best place to start is when we first got the house.
She brought me joy.
We had a. Did I mess it up? I'm not doing.
No, you're
I'm
fine.
not a good
You're
interviewer, am I?
No, you're no problem. Just keep...
I moved at everything. I'm not used to doing this.
Well, no one's used to talking in front of a camera. But telling the story is like, okay, let's think about it. You were telling me about this thing you did right next year.
Yeah. We had there were a couple big issues we had to get across. The first one was that they'd taken the house and they'd subdivided into like 3 different apartments. That's why there's that kind of that wall I was showing you in the middle of the living room that we're going to take down. But they had taken the garage, and that was kind of the main one that the city had a problem with, because in Miami Springs the city comes in and they look at everything, and they have to issue, it's like a certificate of occupancy. So they came in, saw that stuff, and said, okay, we'll let you close on the house, but this all has to be fixed in 60 days. And they'd taken the garage and they made it into a bedroom, and they had, they run like a fridge in there, and they had like a little kitchenette, and they cut a doorway from one of the bedrooms so that you could get access into there, and they run AC ducts, heating, ventilation stuff in there, and all the electricity. So we ended up having to do a lot of fixing with that, and that was kind of my first real experience with having to deal with the city and deal with all the permits and getting contractors and all that. And the challenging thing was that it was under a tight time frame because we had to do it in 60 days. And the way they can kind of hold you to that is prior to closing on the house, we had to put twice the amount of 3 contractors' proposals for what it'll cost to fix it into an escrow account. So if you don't have it done by then, they go and hire the contractors to get it done, to get the garage converted. So we ended up getting that thing, slowly but surely fixed up. We got a good contractor, and every single week he'd see a little more progress when we get out here on the weekends. It was hard to get out during most weeknights, but that was kind of the first piece we gotten fixed. And then one of the other things you were kind of mentioning that happened was that we had just a piece of concrete, probably 10 feet by 10 feet. It was a slab. It had kind of not taken a little opening in the center, and where the opening was there was rocks in there, and we didn't really kind of seem to serve any type of purpose, and the rocks in the middle of this concrete were kind of awkward, and we weren't really sure what it was for. We figured they might have had something there at one time, maybe like a barbecue pit or a fire pit or something over these rocks, but we didn't know what it was. And so my wife decided she wanted to get rid of it, and we called some companies to do it, and the quotes were pretty high. They were like $4,000 or $5,000 to come bust up the concrete and take it out. It was a fairly small slab. I didn't think that was a reasonable price from the companies we called, and because of some of the other work we had going on in the house, we had a dumpster right here, so it's just basically breaking up the concrete and carrying it over to the dumpster and throwing it in there. And so I decided I was going to do it. Went to Home Depot, rented the jackhammer, and which was kind of fun. I've never used a jackhammer before. So we started breaking up the slab, and it came apart pretty easy. We but one of the issues was it had rebar all under it, so we had to bust up through the rebar and cut off where the wire ties were and stuff. But overall, it wasn't that bad a job to fix. Ended up taking probably about a day. Kind of bust up the concrete.
$5,000 a day, that's good pay.
Yeah, right. So that would have been good if that would have been it. And
but they wouldn't have done the other one.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. It'd have been more on top.
So it's $5,000 a day. That's good money.
Yeah. So it wasn't that big a deal.
Tell me where I can get those done.
I don't know if it was with the disposal fee of the concrete that they added a whole bunch on it, but yeah, it wasn't worth paying the contractor what they're asking. So, or not the contractor, but somebody to do it. So we, after I got everything busted up, there was the rocks underneath, below the rebar, below the concrete, that the gravel they kind of laid out. And I was trying to rake that and get all the gravel up because we were just going to put sod over this particular area. And when I got to the center part where that octagonal kind of opening was, I started, hitting something with the rake, some plastic. And so I got down on my hands and knees and started cleaning all the sand around it, and what I realized is that it was the hot tub was still there. It looked like what they must have done is just cutting the top off the hot tub with the lip and just left it there and filled the inside with sand and with rocks. So I kind of looked, I'm like, oh man, I think the hot tub's still here. So I got in and started digging and digging and digging and digging. It was a pretty big hot tub, it was almost like 6-8 person hot tubs, and digging and digging. And I got all the sand out, and so realized, okay, let me try, how do I get this thing out?
There wasn't any person barbarian though, right?
Yeah, no bodies or no gold. We haven't found anything like that yet. And so I got everything dug out, and it's how to get this thing out, because it's pretty big size, and you kind of realize, come to realization, you got to dig around the outside to get it out. And so I start digging around the outside, and digging and digging and digging, hoping I can get in there with a pry bar or a shovel or something and kind of pry it loose and then flip it out of there. I didn't realize how heavy they were. It was made out of fiberglass, and you usually think fiberglass is pretty light, but with the reinforcements and everything on it, it was pretty heavy, weighed a couple 100 pounds. But I couldn't even get it to break the suction kind of from the earth to get it loose. And so as I started digging, I started realizing they had a pipe still hooked up to it. They had and there was like 3 or 4 inlet pipes, and you would have thought they would have all been like on on one circuit where one pipe came in, one returned the water back to the pump, but there were different pipes. I'm not sure why. I don't know the mechanics behind the hot tub. So as I dig, I'd hit the lines, and I'd have to I'd just break them at that point. They're PVC. We dug around it, and the wiring. I had to find the breaker for all that, and make sure the power was off before I started trying to cut the wiring on that.
Oh, you actually turned the electric on. The electric was still on.
Electric was still on. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, electric. Underground, just going to a dead light. So the electric was still on. So we ended up, finally ended up getting everything out of there, and I was talking with a couple of my friends about it. I'm like, I found this hot tub the other day. I thought this thing was going to be like this, day project, and after a day of digging, because there was a lot of dirt and the inside, all the stuff inside the hot tub and on the outside, we realized that it was going to be a lot more. And I talked to a couple of folks about how I should get rid of the hot tub, how to get up, what are they doing? One guy said, he had something similar, hit it with a sledge, right? So I got a sledgehammer in there, and hitting it with the sledgehammer didn't work. You hit it with the sledgehammer, and the stuff was so thick, the sledgehammer bounced back. It kind of changed the texture of or the color of the fiberglass, a little whiter, because the hot tub was pink in there, but it wouldn't break it. So after whacking on that for half a dozen times, I realized that wasn't going to work. And one other person I talked to said, get a grinder and just cut it off in sections. So I had a grinder, and I started cutting, but they had these, the braces kind of underneath the seats, and so when you couldn't get to the braces, you'd have to have a grinder with a wheel that was like a foot long, and I didn't have that one. I just had a small grinder that was probably 5 inches, 6 inches, and so after grinding the section, and I'm sure not probably being as safe as I should be wearing a mask, with all the fiberglass residue and stuff, this dust was kicking up. Realized that it wasn't going to work either. After probably took about half hour, an hour to grind off a section. Realized that wasn't going to work, and so I ended up having to just dig the whole thing out, dig the pipes up, and was able to get under with the shovel. Once I dug all the way around it and pry that thing up. all the water and stuff. It was funny, kind of when I did that too, all the water that had been in the pipes, you know, that had been sitting there stagnant for years, yeah, kind of all ran right back into the hot tub, and it just stank. So it was this nasty, you know, tepid water and stuff. So finally able to get it out, and then once I got it out, I was able to cut it up into pieces and get it in the trash. But you know, it's every time you think it's going to be one little thing that you have to fix. You know, a quick little, you know, half a day doing the slab, you know, all of a sudden there's something buried there, there's a hot tub under it. That's kind of the joke we have in the house. You know, we'll go to do something. You know, the other day we had a ceiling where some of the plaster was coming down a little bit. We thought we'd just be able to patch it. And, you know, when we kind of opened it up, all of a sudden we realized that one of the joists were sagging down. It was pulling the whole ceiling down, so it was kind of like the hot tub, right? You know, you kind of joke, we found another hot tub, we keep saying, we keep running across stuff like that. So sometimes it's, think it's going to be easy, you know, it'll take a day, half day, and it ends up being a week.
Yep. And right behind us, you'll see the house. That is the repair house. And there's actually an old movie that was about a fellow repairing a house.
The Money Pit?
The Money Pit, yes.
Yeah, we're living it.
You.
Except for we're not living in the house. I don't know how people can do that.
Wow. So you have your own money pit.
We do. Yeah, it's I guess it's all how much you want to do, how much you want to fix, how much you want to repair. But there's always unexpected things. You know, you do a real good job in the inspection, you go through everything, you think everything's in pretty good shape, but you know, once you start opening up walls or pulling down ceilings, you find all kinds of things you didn't bargain for.
And I noticed termites.
Yeah, and we knew this part of Florida, termites, everybody has termites. It's real prevalent.
Keep on moving, Ashley.
Kind of the general thing that people do is they'll go through and they tent their house about once every 10 years.
Mom.
That's pretty common. You know, whether you see anything or not, you just tent your house every 10 years. So
Yeah,
we've seen a little bit of termite damage. It hasn't been real bad.
Okay, you're the
we
judge.
got the front doors got it. We've seen some termites in
I
the
saw the
front
front door look just like it was going to fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some termites in the front door. Where else have I seen it? We have one of the walls down in the kind of Florida room of plywood, and I've seen some termite damage
like
there.
that. We could look at
Underneath
you
the
if I
house,
come
though, has been real good. We haven't seen anything, you know, so all the joists and everything, we haven't seen any termites at all. And in that, normally they tend to get up in the attic. And, you know, we haven't seen a lot of real damage with that. You know, we've seen them having some termite damage, but, you know, nothing real bad. And I'd look for that when we got to the house, because, you know, I was worried about that. That's pretty common.
A ballerina?
Thank you.
Well, thank
Can
you.
we do
I
it?
appreciate it.
Okay.
You're gonna do it. What? It's a
Ready?
competition,
Okay,
Ashley.
look at this. We
I
have
signed a contract. You
someone
gotta
right into our movie. Isn't that
I signed
wonderful?
a contract.
Okay.
You're ruining my film debut,
Yeah,
Sam.
just Darren Schuster, Old Men Stories.
Oh, you're recording this?
Yeah.
You're recording.
Okay, Darren Schuster, Old Man Stories.
Okay, here I go, Mama.
What'd I do? I didn't.
Old Men Stories. Just one more day by the pool.